So guys, this is CTS53, and this is my very first video for the Warhammer classes. So today I'm going to be taking a look at the different classes in Warhammer Online, which has, I believe, the most classes of any MMO I've currently played. A total of 24, 12 per faction. The two factions are the Realm of Destruction, where you've got the Greenskin, the Chaos, and the Dark Elves. Then on the Realm of Order, you've got High Elves, Empire, and Dwarfs. So I'm going to be taking a look at the Destruction first, because that is the faction I play, my Squig Herder. And, okay, this seems to be taking a little while. I believe it's time we skip ahead. Ah, there we go. Alright, so first off, we're going to take a look at the Dark Elves. And as you can see, there are 4 classes, 1 per archetype. The archetype we're going to take a look at today is melee DPS, the Witch Elf. The Witch Elf has a few different mechanics. It's the rogue class of the Destruction. They are able to kiss their blades, and as they kiss their blades, they can apply different forms of poison. So it's basically a rogue. Another thing, they gain combo points. Where do you see them? Don't look at the character that they're fighting. Don't look up there, because that's not where the combo points lay. The combo points are actually right on the middle of their UI. If you take a look down, you'll see some thorns that appear to be growing out of the UI, and this is the combo points, or Bloodlust. Their mechanic is called Bloodlust, and the more Bloodlust they get, the more damage they use on their execution moves. Stealth. Unlike in most games, stealth is on a cooldown in this game, as in not only on a cooldown of, when you can use it next, but on a cooldown of how long you stay in it. So be wary of that if you're going to roll a Witch Elf. Also, the Witch Elf is gender locked. You can only be a chick. Sorry. To everyone who wants to roll a guy rogue, go play Order. The green glowing things on the UI represent the moves that you can use to execute your opponents using your built-up Bloodlust. So always remember that when playing. You don't see the Bloodlust on the UI normally. It only appears after you start to attack. This is something you're going to have to remember. Also, another thing I'm going to be taking a look at for every class is I'm going to be taking a look at their mastery trees. Mastery trees are essentially their talent point trees, except very, very straightforward and really difficult to mess up. Basically, it's really difficult to mess up. Now let's take a look at their mastery abilities. They've got 3 trees I can see. The first one is Path of Carnage, and this focuses on toe-to-toe combat. Then you got Path of Suffering, mastery on poisons and weakening effects. The last one will be Path of Treachery. Ooh. Mastery path focused on surprise attacks and positional combat. So think Subtlety or Assassin for rogues in World of Warcraft. Next up, let's take a look at the Sorceress. You can also be a man as a Sorcerer, but it changes the name to Sorcerer, not Sorceress. The mechanic for Sorceress, or Sorcerers, is considered dark magic. The bulb you see in the middle that is gaining numbers the more times I attack is the dark energy that I am accumulating throughout my attacks. There are dump moves that you can only cast after you've acquired a certain amount of dark magic, but what it effectively does is increases the damage of most of your spells. But be wary. Being the major caster class of the Destruction, sorceresses or sorcerers are able to do so much damage that they can take down a server sometimes. I've actually seen it happen. It's pretty shocking. But there is a bit of a double-bladed sword. You could say double-edged sword. The more dark magic you gain, the higher of a chance you have on a backlash What is a backlash? Effectively, the best way I can explain it is a backlash is when you try to cast a spell, and instead of it being casted on your opponent, it basically explodes in your face and does damage to you, also losing all of your dark magic. So learning to balance out your dark magic building skills and dumping skills is a required talent to being a decent sorcerer or sorceress. Now let's take a look at their mastery trees. The first mastery tree we see is Path of Agony. The mastery path focused on immediate damage, so bunch of spike, bunch of burst. Next, you've got the Path of Calamity. This is a mastery focused on long dotting abilities, so dots, curses, spells, damage over time. The last is Path of Destruction, a mastery path focused on wide area of effects. So think AoE. That is what this path focuses on. Next up, let's take a look at the tanking class for the Dark Elves, the Blackguard. The Blackguard is the tanking class in this game for the Dark Elves that is very, I want to say, anti-magic. What is their ability? Well, think hate. Because that really is their ability. They hate everything, and that is their mechanic. Just like the just like the Sorceress. In the middle of your UI, you will see a number that continues to grow as you attack your opponents. What is this? This is your hatred. Hatred increases the damage of your abilities. It has no backlash like it does in the Sorceress. And there are also abilities that do better over time when you gain a certain amount of hatred. There are hatred dumping spells, but most of the spells I could find out on the Blackguard build up hatred and then use hatred to increase the amount of damage done. Also, playing the Blackguard is very, I want to say fun. I found it to be actually very enjoyable when I was playing it. I don't prefer it over the Squig Herder by any means, but I mean, come on. The AoE chaining spell I get is damn nice. Very, very nice looking. Let's take a look at their mastery abilities. The first path is Path of Malice, a mastery focused on offense. Next is Path of Loathing, and this is on defense and protection, so this is your real tanking tree. And the last one is Anguish, and this is the anti-magic. Think Unholy Death Knight. You are anti-magic. Mages hate you. And the very last class we're going to be taking a look at today would be the Disciple of Khaine. This is actually the healing class, but it is a melee healer. Their special mechanic, as we'll find out, is called Soul Reaping. What is Soul Reaping effectively? Well, just like Dark Magic and Hatred, it is a number that increases in the middle of your UI. What Soul Energy, I guess I can't even remember now, what Soul Energy does is the more Soul Energy you gain, the more abilities you're able to use. Soul Energy is required for casting spells. You get abilities that turn action points into a soul essence, but most of the time, being a Disciple of Khaine, you have to be up there in the fray attacking your opponents in order to gain this soul essence. It does come back, but after you've done a good portion of healing, you'll have to jump back into the fray. So this is a healer class for anyone who loves being up front, bashing their enemies in with dual swords, and then jumping back to heal everybody once they've gained enough of their soul essence. Don't even see where that guy's coming from. Now let's take a look at the masteries. The first one is Path of Dark Rites. This is a mastery that focuses on healing. Next is Torture, and as you can guess, melee combat. This is your combat spec. And then you have Path of Sacrifice. This is the one that is all about siphoning the power of your enemies. The one for any healer would be Dark Rite. Well everyone, that's my very first episode. Thank you for watching. Next up will be Chaos in part 2.